Now, Hudur, what about the promised Messiah or the Imam Mahdi himself? Can we have an idea about his history?
Hazrat Imam Mahdi, as we refer to him, or Al-Masih al-Maud, as I've already told you, that he was born in year 1835 in that house which I mentioned. He had migrated from long ago, at the time of Babur, from Persia, Faris, and had come and settled in the Punjab. When he was born, it were very difficult. They were very difficult times. There were fights and infights between Muslims and Sikhs and the British and the locals and so on. Turbulent times. So Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, right from the beginning, was totally dedicated to the service of God and the service of the poor. That we know not only from his own memories, but from the Hindus and non-Muslim people who lived in that township. They have given their testimonies, and I have met some of them myself who had lived long enough to give their testimony before me, like Baba Malava Mal, a Hindu leader of Qadian, and many others, who always mentioned with deep regard and respect Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian. Why? Because right from his childhood, he was a man given up to God and his creation. He loved God so much that he kept on studying the Holy Quran day in and day out, and Hadith and Islamic literature, and used to go to the mosque. All had left. When all the others had left, he would remain there and keep on praying, individually, nawafil, etc. So this is the testimony of all the people of Qadian of that period, that this is how he spent his childhood. His father's testimony is mentioned by some Sikhs who came from other parts of Qadian, and inquired from his father that we understand you have also a son we seldom seen. Where is he? What is he doing? There were other members of the family who lived like small royal family, but he said there is one son who we never see him, but we understand you have. He said he has become a Masitad. Masitad means in Punjabi language, one who has been wedded to the mosque, one who remains in the mosque and never comes out. So he said, go and find out. Maybe he is wrapped in some mats of the mosque. Because sometimes it happened that when he was tired, he laid down for a rest, and the servant who attended the mosque, he came and rolled down those mats. And it actually happened that once he was rolled in that but he didn't shriek, he didn't protest. He softly, after he left, he came out himself. But this is what I'm telling you was his natural childhood, his infancy and childhood. As far as his relation to mankind is concerned, it can be seen from this that he was always sharing his food in the childhood with the poor boys of his age in that area. And it was as if it was a regular practice with him. He never sat with the family members to eat. He said, all right, give me my food, I'll go out and eat. And then he shared it with others. Sometimes he distributed all the food, which was reasonably good family, so the food must have been good by any standards. And at only some small, what do they call, grams and maize, etc., which are उसको क्या कहते हैं भूनने के लिए baked. It was not baked, it was sort of cooked, with sand. It is a custom in our country. I don't know any English word for this.
Yes, it is baked if it is in sand.
With sand?
Yes, it is baked.
In your country?
Yes.
Achha, right. So he would buy a very cheap thing, half a paisa would be a hundredth part of a penny now, and he bought that And at that and drank water, and that was all for him. So throughout his childhood, he spent his life like this. When he grew up, his father insisted that he must find some service because he said that you are worthless as far as our estate is concerned. I can't make any use of you. While other children are growing up and getting education and doing things, so you are only for God, and this is not according to our family tradition. We are a sort of, ruling family, although poor nowadays, but still ruling family. So your behavior is no credit to us. So he insisted that I'll get you some service in in a court in Sialkot district, in the city of Sialkot, because he had some influence over here and there. He insisted first of all that no, I will not do that. And in answer to this, his insistence once, he wrote only this much, or sent a message, I don't exactly remember, that look here, you ask for my service. I have already been enrolled in the service of God. What other service do you want? But the father insisted. I said, it's my order. He said, all right, if it's your order, then my God tells me that you obey your parents, so I'm going to do that. So he served for a couple of years or so in Sialkot District Court as a sort of clerk or at a small post, but there we find other witnesses outside Qadian who were non-Ahmadis, who were people of great respect in that district, and later on some rose to the Punjab fame, who were deeply impressed by the quality of his piety. So there was an ordinary clerk-looking person, but always he was involved in uh, debates with the Christians representing Islam. So the court was a Christian court. And here was their small employee who spent all his time in taking up the cudgel for Islam and fighting the Christians and challenging them about Christ's claims and this and that, and in comparison to the Holy Quran, they said Bible is just nothing, I can prove it, that it's all interpolated and so on. So that was the second phase of his early life. But this small correction, this shahadat reached us not from his father,
From the people?
but from the Sikhs
Yes.
who had visited Qadian, who knew him. Then when later on when Mr. Islam claimed to be this, then they came and said, look here, now we know why. Why this man was chosen by God, because this is what we know from his early
يوضح
childhood.
أمير المؤمنين